I know there's going to be plenty of questions and people are going to be like, wait a minute, you did what? But I've sold a house for a nonprofit for $1. I literally listed and sold a house for $1 for a particular reason.
Hello and welcome to episode 115 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Corwyn Melette, broker-owner of Exit Realty Lowcountry Group in North Charleston, South Carolina. Going on nearly 20 years in the real estate industry, Corwyn has dedicated his efforts to more than just closing deals. Seeing how homeownership impacts not only the individual family's legacy, he is also helping build stronger communities through education. Now, before we get on to the day's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or a tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to the day's featured interview with Corwyn Melette. I was really inspired by this conversation, and I hope you are as well. Really, the way I like to get everything started out is if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit, who you are and really where you are in the country.
Okay. So my name is Corwyn Melette. I am the broker and owner of Exit Realty Lowcountry Group. I tell people in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. So I'm here on the East Coast in the Charleston region. I've been in the business now. It's going back to '04, so we're getting pretty close to about 20 years. Been a broker since 2008. So, I tell people I got in when it was crazy, went through, managed to live full time in the business through the recession. So here we are still yet pushing along all these years later. So I'm super duper excited. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what I'm always interested in, what was it that, sparked your interest in real estate and kind of what got you wanting to jump in back in 2004?
So, I got to take you all the way back, to, quote unquote, where the wild was. So, I grew up in, rural part of South Carolina, a little place called Mullins. It was a tobacco town. My great grandfather, I was raised by my great grandparents, that's who, we lived with and all that stuff. And I stayed with them, till their days were done. And they were, my grandfather was a carpenter. My great grandfather was a carpenter. So he worked on houses. He fixed houses for people that had family properties. He rented, he collected rents and all that stuff. And I tell people, I used to work on houses with them. You look at me now, you'd be like, wait a minute, you on a roof and you a scuttle up underneath the house? But yeah, I was. But I hated that work. I hated that physical labor piece of it, but I loved the interactions with the people. I love watching him interact with tenants, the collection process of rents, managing, and supervising repairs and doing repairs and things of that nature. So I took that element. Fast forward later in life, and here I was, a student of finance, a student of the economy, and I'm looking and understanding that anyone who had true wealth in our country had real estate. So then that got me the appetite for having rental properties and things of that nature. Reflecting back, go a little bit forward from there. Got the opportunity to get a license, and I got the license for selfish reasons. I wanted to buy, sell, rental property. I wanted to do my own thing for me. But when I got the license, I realized, wait a minute, I can help other people do what I wanted to do. And then that set me on the trajectory along the path that I'm on currently, which is serving others with their real estate needs.
Right. And like I was telling you prior to starting recording, I'm familiar with the Mullins area and kind of that area. And just, I do understand how, some of the wealth gaps in areas are, and how really real estate and home ownership is such a huge, part of building that generational wealth that can be such a help and a leg up in communities.
Yes. So, we're in this place where in just society, and I won't go too far, but everyone is talking about generational wealth. Well, I've been talking about me, my agents, our team. We've been talking about legacy for a very, very long time, which is ultimately what this entire process is. It's an opportunity for someone to either establish or further the legacy they intend to leave. So we look at this from a number of different ways or perspectives, but I'm always reminded of this. How do I want to say it? I'm always reminded of what is said in about leaving an inheritance for your children, your children's children, so forth and so on. So that has been a mantra or a part of our underlying mission for a very, very, very long time, which is to help people create, build, grow a legacy that they can then turn over to their children that will last them for generations, and as they hopefully will increase the legacy going forward. And that's where the real opportunity, I believe, is within our industry to serve our communities.
Right. Absolutely. So, when you started this and as kind of going forward, how have you been really kind of getting into these communities and helping people, get the transactions done and find the houses that are going to start building up that legacy and that generational wealth for them and their families?
So I think, the first thing is getting the information to the consumer. Consumer always lags behind. That's something I say to our agents as we seek to educate people all the time. The consumer lags behind. By the time they realize that, the market is great, it's not anymore. And by the time they realize that the market is trash, it's, they're just coming out of the woodworks thinking it's still good. And, so the first thing in fundamentals is education. We've always taken a grassroots approach. I do a lot of affordable housing work, which is serving low, moderate income buyers. That's the client base that most agents don't want to serve because it's not glamorous. It's messy. It is difficult. You are spending your nights and evenings trying to, talk someone from the ledge because they had a fit of nerves because they've never owned a home before and they're scared to death about the responsibility of having to maintain a home themselves. So there's a lot of grassroots work that goes in, a lot of education in the form of workshops. Prime example, we have a workshop coming up this coming week. We have another event the following week. A lot of things that we do to get consumers in, to get the information so they have an opportunity to digest it before they get themselves to the place of, hey, it's time for you to go buy a house.
Right. How are you holding those workshops? Where are you doing them? Like, is it a community center? What's your process for that?
So, we change it up. So, a lot of things that we do in partnership with local organizations. One thing that I've noticed forever is that when we as a real estate, either agent or company, seek to do home buyer education, when we market that, most people just think, well, you're just trying to sell me. And in turn, they get turned off. So we always work with our local nonprofits. We're there to provide information. If you decide to, after getting the information that, you want to know more or, pursue home ownership, then at that point in time is when we take the step forward to, assist you. But short of that, we're just there providing information, answering questions, those kind of things. Most people make that mistake of it making it about them. We make our process about the consumer. And that is the difference. And that is a differentiator when you're speaking to people who really don't want to be sold. Most people don't want to go to, it's almost like, and forgive the reference, but it's probably the best thing I got. You get the phone call, hey, you get this weekend at this great resort. All you got to do is sit through this presentation, right?
Right.
That is not how we want to come across. We don't want to be seen as being, well, you got to sit through this presentation. No. We want to be a help. We want to be of service. So again, we partner with nonprofit organizations, churches, nonprofits that, work in and do affordable housing, as well as municipalities that are proponents of affordable housing in their communities. Those are the people and the organizations that we work with in order to further the mission.
Right. Absolutely. And I got to imagine, those organizations, those nonprofit organizations, they got to love having you come in and teach, because it really does. If you are out there just providing the education and the tools, for these people to start moving in the direction of home ownership, That's absolutely helping their communities.
It is. I mean, if you think about it, big picture. So big picture. One. So let's talk about it from from a church perspective.
Mhm.
If the members of my church are building and creating legacy, then what does that do? That puts us in a situation where we're able to do where we're able to stabilize the congregation. Because sometimes what happens is the congregation is a little bit more transient. They're renters. So if they're renting here and their rent skyrocketed in this part of town and they can no longer afford to live here, they got to move to another part of town. And if it's more difficult for them to travel to that particular church, then you're going to lose the membership. But when you and this is also something else, and this one is a conversation I have. A lot of my clients are and I work for a lot of churches, and a lot of church pastors directly. A conversation that we have oftentimes is the church is more than just you gotta serve the whole man.
Mhm.
You have to serve the whole man. So that man has needs financially, he has spiritual needs, but he has financial and physical needs. You got to service the whole man, which means that if the man is hungry, you got to feed him. If the man needs help with finances, you got to give him some education to help him. So, and as well as feed him the word, and all those things get the opportunity to work together when the church or a nonprofit is involved in this piece of the puzzle. For municipalities, it helps them to stabilize and establish their tax base. If you have homeowners in the community, now they're not renters. The people that are fully invested in the communities are the ones who are supporting the community. That's who's paying the taxes, who's benefiting from the services, all that other stuff. It just makes for a better community. So, we work with some groups, church groups, as well as municipalities that create clusters of affordable housing so that they can, again, work to improve the lives of their residents. That is huge.
Right, right. Absolutely. I mean, home ownership in a community, I mean, it's a stabilizing force,
Yes, sir.
to keep people in the community also, and to help build up, the local businesses. There's somebody there that can actually start, going to those places.
Exactly. And then also what I've seen, and it's incredible, but when people are vested, so most people, when they open a business, they open a business in the community they know and love, usually the community they live in. So at that point in time, you get someone who buys a house, and then now they've stabilized themselves, and they have this bright idea to open a restaurant, to open whatever it is, whatever the idea is. But now they're invested in the community in several ways. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch, and that's the opportunity that people have leveraging real estate, real property. That's the one thing that God ain't making no more of. A tree will grow again, but dirt ain't growing no more.
I like that one. I like that one. What, and as you're doing these workshops, and you obviously, at the end of the day, it does bring in business, but while you're there, you have to have that servant's mindset. You cannot go into it with the, in the back of your mind, oh, this is going to make me a buck, or people are going to see right through it.
That is very, very true. Zig Ziglar says that you get what you want in life by helping others to get what they get. You feed someone and you will eat too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the entire thing. And that's not really important. The service is what is. The service, giving, I've heard it a number of times, reread it somewhere in passing the other day. Service is the rent that you pay to be here on earth. And that whole mindset. One of the things I think that does a complete disservice to our industry is when we lack service. When we have no desire to serve, we only have a desire to gain. And the all of what we're talking about is service. I've said this, and look, I know there's going to be plenty of questions, and people are going to be like, "Wait a minute, you did what?" But I've sold a house for a nonprofit for $1. I literally listed and sold a house for $1 for a particular reason, so they can continue their mission, so that they could move a new homeowner into a home, so then they can continue to further their mission, which was to help other people. because they were hung up in this one spot. I knew how to fix it. So I found a way in there. I said, well, look, I can't list it for nothing. So I'll sell it for $1. And I've done that in order to carry that out. It wasn't about me. We had a great time doing it because we helped someone get into home ownership who otherwise at that particular time would have not been able to complete a transaction, traditional transaction. So, we do that. Right now, I'm fortunate to be part of a team working on a project, 40 new townhomes being built. And there is up to $80,000 of down payment assistance that is available for certain buyers that fit certain criteria. Mm-hmm. So that's huge, and those are the things that we as real estate professionals, as realtors, as, whatever title, or code of ethics that you may subscribe to, that we have the opportunity to do to impact our communities and better the lives of the people that are around us. Man, ain't that amazing? Don't that make you feel good?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think the great thing about, being in the real estate industry and real estate professionals as a whole is you do have that opportunity to make a major impact in not only, an individual's life, but your community's well-being.
That's very fair. And that's the change. There have been so where my office is, just over, a few hundred feet and down the road, a quarter of a mile, if that, there is a very large body shop tow operation. Mm-hmm. I sold that property to that business owner. Initially, I helped them lease it. Subsequently, they purchased it. They are one of the largest, if not the largest, operating body shop tow business that's in our area. They work on, look, if I go down there, I'm more than likely going to see Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Lamborghinis, McLarens, all these high-end vehicles that they work on. But I'm also going to see Chevys and Fords down there too. So they cover the entire gambit. And to be able to look and say, you know what, I was, it's not me, it's their business idea and all of that. I just got to play a very minor role, in my opinion, in all of that, but to be a part of that process. So some days you can drive by a house or drive by a business and say, yeah, I remember that. I remember before it was there. I remember now, I know now what it is, and I see where it's going. And that's the opportunity that realtors have to provide impact within, because that's a word for me this year, my man, is impact. Right. If I put my hand to something, if I touch something, I want it to have an impact, to provide some type of ripple, provide some type of opportunity for change, some type of opportunity for growth, for development. I want it to be impactful. That is my word for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great mantra to have. And it's something that it helps you get through, the rougher times also. If you know that, hey, you know what, today wasn't a great day, but I do know what I did yesterday is impacting so many other lives, it makes today a whole lot easier.
That is very, very, very true. Every day when we get up, we have the opportunity. Matter of fact, I'll share this, and it's up on one of these boards here behind me somewhere or another. Make it how you want it. About a month ago, my mother's actually here in the office. She started working here in the office to fill in some time, so to speak, which is great, because I love my mama. That's the only mama I got. So in some conversation we're having about a particular situation within the family, I said, well, Ma, they made it how they wanted. And, as I reflected upon that statement, that is it. We make it how we want it. If our day is not going as well as we want it to go, if we don't do anything, if we wallow in it, and it gets worse, then we made it how we want it. If we suck it up, push through, and change the trajectory of that day, we have made it how we want it. That's the opportunity each of us have each and every day. If, you're an agent, you're a broker, you're listening to this, you have the opportunity to make it how you want it. You got to do something. You can't just say, hey, I want this and just wait for it to fall out of the sky. No, you got to say, hey, I want this. You need to look at the sky if that's where you expect for it to fall from. And then in turn, you got to figure out a way to figure out how you can hopefully open it up and get it out, whatever that may look like. But again, we have the opportunity to make it how we want it. And that's in our business, that's in our personal lives, that's in our communities. We have the ability to have impact and work to make it how we want it.
Right. And, using that impact and that almost that ripple effect thought process, just using this this body shop as an example, by being that agent and being that broker that helped them go from, just finding a place to lease to now outright owning it themselves, the impact that has for your business is that everybody that he knows and comes in contact with, they're going to refer to you, and that helps your business grow in the long run.
That is true. It's about more than just, matter of fact, I'll frame it this way. Because, when I sit down and have, introductory conversations with prospective, clients, I tell them that, hey, I'm going to do what I'm going to do for you, not for you, but for the people that you'll send to me, for those people that you will refer to me. If I take care of you, then you in turn will refer additional people to me that I'll have the opportunity to assist and to serve.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Right. Absolutely. And so as you became, now that you have a team and you have people that are working with you, what are obviously it sounds like that these kind of core values to your business are something that are vitally important to the success of your business and just you as a person. Is that something that you really kind of look for in everybody that you bring in to your team?
That is very true. Most times, and I don't know, if you've been recruited. I know I've been recruited, and everyone that recruits me typically starts off wrong. They start off with trying to tell me how much money I'm going to make. And technically you can't tell me that because that depends upon what I do. I know what kind of business industry I'm in. Making more money isn't what it is. I want you to tell me how I'm going to be able to assist and serve more people, So what I look for is agents who are looking to help and serve people. Yes, you need to make money. Yes, you have bills. Yes, you want to make more money, and I'm okay with that. But how are you going to serve more people in the process? If it's only about the money, then you won't make it long with me because my core is in the service to the people.
Right.
Period. So if you are not focused, don't have that as part of your core mission, then we will have challenges. We will bump heads, and eventually one of us is going to go somewhere. So, and I'm okay with that because again, we're focused on having, and it's interesting. On occasion, I've had conversations with some of our people just to say to them, because they were fully committed. Like, okay, well, look, I'm not gonna, their buyer or client is extremely challenged. Got some financial stuff going on. They're trying to, overcome to get the transaction complete because, and granted, it's changing a little bit, but the market has been very challenging for buyers. Sellers were very, very, very difficult. And things of that nature. So what that did is created a situation where, people were, okay, well, look, I need a little bit more cushion. I need a little bit more room. And my agent's willing to sacrifice in order to get people across the finish line. And that's something I love. Hey, this buyer needs a home warranty. I'll pay for the warranty, myself, those kind of things. So, that's one of the things that I really, really, really appreciate about our people, that they're willing to make those types of sacrifices to help and serve people.
Right. And, when you do that and you build up that kind of reputation, you're able to withstand any, market fluctuations or downturns because you've built up that capital within the community of a person that is trusted, and they're going to come to you no matter what the market looks like.
That is very, very true. And that's the thing to people now, people really, I don't want to say, they're challenged by that. And what I mean by they're challenged is they can't believe that, service is sacrificial. You got to sacrifice self. It is really a ministry, ministering, caring for, meeting the other needs of others. And people now look at that very, very critically, very skeptically, because they're not accustomed to it anymore. It used to be that you would go to your neighbor's aid. Your neighbor, you go down the street, you're on your way to the store or whatever, you pass your neighbor on the side of the road, you would immediately stop. Hey, are you okay? Can I help you? Now, we just barrel right on past them. So when someone is willing to sacrifice themselves or give of themselves in assistance or to help someone, oftentimes the receiving party is so, apprehensive that it makes it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your morning here. I know you're a busy guy, but I do really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And these are the kind of conversations that I think are so great, because really it's something that can and should be done universally within the industry.
I agree. One of my an agent we had here, some time ago, he used to say this thing that we should seek first to understand before seeking to be understood. We should first seek to help others before seeking to be helped. Compensation is what many agents focus on. They seek compensation before they provide service. That's unrealistic. How do you do that? But so many do that. If we lead with our heart, if we lead with service to others, then we in turn will give better service and we'll receive more. That's a right here level message to give to everybody, and how we all help one another and how we all raise the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think with that, I will leave it with that, because that is a great way to wrap things up.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
I really want to thank Corwyn for joining us today, and I wholeheartedly agree that by helping those in need reach their dreams of home ownership, you're not only impacting the individual, but the community as a whole. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.